Hello and welcome to a playthrough of the fictional memoirs of Harriet Wilson and her sisters. If you have come to watch this, I'm very impressed because I don't think it'll be widely viewed, but I hope you enjoy the game nevertheless. So I'll just tell you a bit now about what the game is about. This game is designed to tell the story of anybody who has a scandalous story to tell. For example, a Casanova figure or any other person with a string of lovers littered in their past. But it is most particularly designed to tell a fictionalized version of the memoirs of Harriet Wilson. Harriet Wilson was one of the foremost courtesans of her day. I guess you can say foremost for courtesans. And when she became too old to attract men to lavish on her the kind of lifestyle she desired, she wrote and published a scandalous memoir revealing all the details of her intimacies. And she published the memoirs in 12 different volumes. And before each, she required payment from any lover that was to be mentioned who did not wish to be included in the memoirs. So it was doubly successful as a source of income, both as a memoir and as a very effective blackmail tactic. And she had four sisters who were also courtesans and shared her unusual profession. Her older sister, Anne, and then her younger sisters, Fanny and Sophia. And in this game, each player will take on the role of one of the four sisters. And we will also be playing one of the string of men and women that weave their way in and out of their lives. So I think at this point, let's go around and introduce ourselves and briefly say which of the lovers we are playing. Which of the sisters we are playing, rather. So let's go from oldest to youngest.
Alrighty, I'm Tyler, and I'm going to be playing Anne, the oldest sister. She is jealous, but completely fearless, and I imagine has had quite the experiences over the years.
Awesome. I am going to be playing Harriet, the second oldest sister, and she is flippant and manipulative. So a wonderful person, as you can see.
Hi, I'm V. I'm going to be playing Fanny, the second youngest. I have been often told that I have too kind to my own detriment, which is both a blessing and a curse. And in the present timeline, I am battling an illness.
Kia ora, I'm Lauren. I'll be playing Sophia, who's the youngest sister. She's real reckless, but she prefers to be called like lively and like young-spirited and like opportunistic. You know, like reckless has such negative connotations. She married rich because like obviously that's the best choice in life, right? It's like you have a lot of money and then you can do what you want with your free time. It's super good. So I'm looking forward to playing her a lot. She's gonna sound like a ballet girl, I guess.
It makes sense. That's how I see Sophia.
Excellent.
Yes, and for anyone who doesn't know, the time period, like this game doesn't require historical accuracy, I can speak, or that we adhere to reality in any way, but loosely our game today is set between 1780 and 1850. And with that, we will get on with the first scene. So as Harriet, I am the first sister to be the active sister, and V has the excellent task of being the first lover. So would you like to roll a d12 to see who it is that you will be portraying in this game first up?
I will. Let me roll my dice. Nope. One sec. Okay, I am playing Maribel Wilcox. Miss Wilcox.
Let me have a look at Maribel Wilcox.
She's amazing.
She really is amazing. Okay, so as this is the first time Maribel Wilcox has appeared in the game, I will. Harriet writes Maribel a letter, and the letter reads as following: "Dear Maribel, as you may have heard, I am writing a memoir of my life, in which you played so fond a part. If you do not wish to be included in this memoir, then I will accept instead some substantial recompense for my discretion. Yours always, Harriet." And the next thing we do is we see a vignette of Maribel.
That's his
opening
eye.
the letter. So over to V for that.
Okay. So Maribel is engaged in the profession that she so fondly has engaged in for these many, many years. She's bent over a writing desk, and she is up to volume 12 of A Lady's Definitive Guide to Etiquette, when her publisher mentions that they are publishing a most interesting memoir and hands the letter over to Maribel, Miss Wilcox.
And what expression do we see on her face as she opens the letter?
Who is this girl?
Awesome. Great. So the next thing we do is flash back to a scene between Harriet and Maribel Wilcox. And before we can do that, I will decide to show the beginning of our relationship. How did this unusual connection start? And let me roll a d4. Okay, so on a 3, that means that while this scene involves Maribel, it's not really about her. It's actually about the relationship between the sisters. So I need to choose one of the relationships that we prepared before the game and create a scene where that was formed. So let me see, what have I got in my relationships? Oh, Tyler, I think this has to be Anne led me down the wrong path. I see that fitting in very well.
Alrighty.
So I think we see I think we're at like the scene is a book signing. Maribel is signing copies of her book, 5 Ways to Charm with Manners. And, you know, there's a small queue of other ladies waiting in line. And eventually Maribel signs their books and they sort of leave, and the last person left there is Harriet, who's sort of waiting with Anne. And
Harriet, dear, she's quite famous and enormously wealthy, and she's known to have a, well, fondness for pretty young ladies.
Is that the case? But this is a public moment. I mean,
she likes manners, dear. A smile, a polite touch, something that might get you an invitation to dinner.
Do you think this kind of connection could really benefit me as much as those of the past? Or is this new game perhaps too hard to hunt?
I think that you would find, well, that given a bit of tenderness, she could be most generous. I mean, clearly, she eats well.
Okay, so Harriet takes the copy of The Charm of Manners out of Anne's hands and sort of walks in a very exaggerated manner across the floor to the book signing table, showing off all her most resplendent angles. And she places the book down in front of Maribel and says, "Mrs. Wilcox, I must be your greatest fan. Where'd you sign my book?"
And what makes you my greatest fan, dear?
Well, it is not that I have read every word and then read every word backwards, for that is the truth, but it is not the reason. It is that I am a living example of the very etiquette your book teaches. Do you not find my manners oddly charming, Mrs. Wilcox?
Well, your manner of speaking is quite adequate, but I observed 3 points in your walk-over that were grossly inadequate. Grossly inadequate. I shall have to instruct you with much more severity, I think, for you to reach the true level of a fan of mine.
Oh, Mrs. Wilcox, I am so pained to hear that you have found errors in my conduct, which only aims to please. But I'm sure that reading alone could not achieve the effect you are after. Perhaps some private instruction might prove to be the best result. And she sort of, Harriet sort of like leans over a little bit when she says private instruction, to their faces are very close. And uses the copy of the book to sort of shield the interaction from the rest of the room.
So Maribel looks very intently and is quite quiet. And then sort of as she signs the book, the feather sort of brushes across your neck and is like ticklish, and she's like, "Okay, I have a private dinner coming up in just over a week. Do come, bring a guest. I see there that you have a very equally charming sister that you've been speaking to. You shall both come."
Alas, unfortunately, Anne is a very private individual and rarely goes to public occasions of flippancy such as a dinner. But I myself, I would love to attend, Mrs. Wilcox. Of course, I shall be there fondly. And I think we end the scene
there. We'll see what comes of the signing of the book when you finally read it.
So we now flash back to the vignette that we were formerly in, with where Mrs. Wilcox received the letter, and we hear her reply.
So her reply, like her letter to
her reply to Harriet's letter about paying up.
So she pens the letter. "Dearest Harriet, I cannot quite place your face after all these years. For you see, I've had many a lovely woman's face arranged in a line to meet me, and I can't quite picture which of those you may be. As you know, in this publishing world, any publicity is good publicity. And so I must decline until such time as you are ready to publish, and then perhaps then I will look over the manuscript and then provide some free editing work for you. As you know, we are long friends. Yours, Maribel.
Amazing. Amazing. Okay. So, as Maribel has refused to be removed from the memoir, Harriet now gets to write one thing that she's going to make sure to include in the memoir about Maribel, of her choosing. And whatever that is will become true within the fiction of the game, so that if Maribel reappears, she now reappears with that knowledge in mind. So what am I going to write about Maribel?
And I am correct, we probably shouldn't look at that. We should be surprised by it when it comes up again.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I like that. So I will avoid doing what I was about to do, which was say it out loud.
Oh, sorry.
No, I like that. That's a very good point. Thanks for calling that out.
Should we read it out when we draw that character next, though? So
the people involved will be able to see it.
So sorry, I was like quietly losing my shit in the corner over here because that was such an amazing scene. Oh my gosh. I just love the callousness. I just love the whole, like, I don't remember your face, but when you're ready to publish, like, let me know and I can do some editing for you. Like that. I think like sums up Maribel's character so much.
Your typing sounds like thunder rolling across the plains.
I should mute.
I have to say, one of the things that we were doing for fun last night, in celebration, I would say, rather than preparation of today, was we spent the whole evening like speaking in Regency era British terribleness.
That's incredible.
Wonderful.
It's quite amusing.
Yes, so I have written in what Harriet decided to include in the memoir about Maribel. So now the active sister proceeds to Fanny, and the active lover proceeds to Lauren. So Lauren, roll a d12. $11. So that is Cole Thornton.
Interesting. Politician 40s with oily good looks. Nice.
Oily good looks. No regular good looks.
So what letter does Fanny write to Cole about her upcoming publication?
Fanny writes, "Dear Mr. Thornton, as you know, when last we spoke, you promised me a great many things. As I have not seen these promises come to bear in the many years since, I reflect upon the fact that many of your constituents also have not seen your promises come to bear. I would hope that your constituents are able to maintain their external opinions on your promises and not realize that you are quite the cad in your personal matters as well. For my discretions, please convey to me a great sum of money.
Ah, amazing.
It is signed Fanny, but I'm sure I had help from other siblings.
I should subtitle this A Game of Regency Shade.
Definitely. So now I get to do a little vignette of Cole opening the letter, right? So I feel like this might be a little bit sleazy, so like please feel free to X-card me if it's like a bit too much, but I totally see Cole in his office, right? At his desk, but he's clearly like preoccupied with someone else under the desk. And then he sort of like gets a knock on his like office door, and then he's just a whole like sort of flustered like like, yes, come in. And then his PA or like little underling intern who he's probably unpaid sort of like comes in just like call like Mr. what's his name? Thornton?
Mr. Thornton, I've got a letter for you.
Exactly. And he like discreetly grabs it and he's like, yeah, but go away, kind of thing. And he opens it, and then he sort of just gets a shot of his face as he like reads the letter. Maybe he goes a little bit red faced as he sort of gets the bit about him being a cad and stuff, because that's clearly like unfounded and untrue, and how dare she like try and put the spin on him? Doesn't she know who he is, kind of thing? He's an asshole.
Amazing. All right. So
now I roll.
First, you have to decide whether you would like to portray the beginning, the end, or the middle of Fanny's relationship with Cole Thornton.
We started with the beginning last time, so I think it would be interesting if he dropped us. I think I know how it would end, so let's drop us sort of. No, let's start from the end then. Let's start from the end.
Great. So on the
editing. So
in
I'll
put, yeah, just put
Fanny
in there.
Then I will roll my d4.
Yep.
Okay. A 2.
So a 2 means that the scene involves genuine affection between the sister and the lover. Ha! Ha!
Okay. All right. So let me think. So I think that the scene has to be very close to when Mr. Thornton is has run for a political office of some sort, and it's essentially like election night, and he's just found out he's won, and that he's gonna step into this role. And Fanny is there, but he's there with his wife and his perfect little family as well.
Perfect.
So I think when we kick off, so there's a lot of like, I guess, cuts of us stealing glances for a while before we finally have time to speak together.
Excellent. Like I imagine it's sort of in a quiet corner somewhere where like no one can see them, and he's managed to sort of like slip away from his wife. But there's like the wedding band that you can still see like quite prominently throughout the whole scene, kind of thing.
Mr. Thornton, I must congratulate you on your magnificent victory tonight.
Oh, well, I couldn't have done it without you. You were such a fantastic support throughout that whole campaign. I couldn't have done it without you.
Yes, I honestly believed you had the best argument in this, and you were in the right, as it were, with everything you've spoken about lifting the poor and the needy out of their poverty and really working to make the city a better place.
Well, as I said, I cannot take all the credit for it. It's your kind-hearted good words that I borrowed, put into my campaign that made it like very genuine and real. Like,
please don't bring my writing into this. It's very embarrassing.
Oh, You need to have more faith in yourself, more confidence. You're going to be a fantastic writer one day, and I swear to you, once all this is over, and once if my wife, it can be you and I picture us in a cottage off in the rural countryside. You can do your writing. I'll have retired to a heavy sum, and the future is only stars and moons for us, my sweetheart.
Oh, and I imagine that you're like holding on to me, and I'm just like melting into your arms.
But we mustn't. It's quite a dangerous time. You understand? Still, this can't get out right now. It would ruin the future that we have planned together.
Yes, I understand. I do. I really do understand. But when do you think we might be able to put our plans into motion?
Soon. Very soon. I'm sure. I don't have a definite time. But it'll be soon, my sweetheart. I promise you.
A matter of months?
Yeah. Totally.
Weeks?
Months. We'll see. I'll let you know. I'll write you.
Okay. I understand. I'm sorry. This is such a busy and an important time in your life. Please. I can see that the Duke wants to have a word with you.
Yes, I'll go see him, but please meet me afterwards, please. I need you tonight.
I'll be waiting. And then as you're walking away, I like sort of shake your hand and brush it, and then there's a wedding band there.
Yes. Oh man, I hate playing dicks.
But you do it so well.
Oh, so good.
This feeds into that letter so perfectly.
Oh yeah.
Yep. So now we flash back into that vignette and see what Cole replies.
Oh, this is really rough. I feel like he's still kind of in office. Ooh. And if he pays her off, then he's sort of out of the game, right? For good.
Yes.
Oh man, can I canvas people to see if they want to see more of this douchebag?
No, it is your decision and your decision.
No. Okay, yeah. I have this real nasty letter in my head, so I think maybe he will pay her off.
Cool. I think so.
And I think the letter is quite brief, and does not begin with a dear or dearest. It just is Fanny. Fanny, I recall our time together fondly. You were my heart and my soul for that time during that campaign. And it hurts me deeply to hear that you would call me such words, particularly on how we left things. You hurt me deeply, and I know I will remember fondly the time we had together, even if you won't. But please accept the sum. And never write to me again.
Amazing. Great. Okay, so what happens now is that we take Cole and we write that he paid up. So from now on, Cole does not appear any forth in the memoirs, as he has paid for his removal. So he will never be selected again. So when you are rolling for your lover, roll a D. If you roll an 11, just re-roll.
Yeah. Politicians.
So the sister progresses to Sophia, and the lover progresses to Tyler.
Okie dokie.
Oh my god, Tyler gets to be Lady Suffolk. That's amazing.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Right.
Tyler, this character was written for you.
Oh my yes.
Oh my god. All right, now I roll a D4, right?
Not yet. First, we do the letter
Oh,
that
yeah.
you write to the letter that Sophia writes to Lady Suffolk, and then we do the vignette, and then we roll dice.
Oh my god. Okay. Let me just pull up her character again. I think it says.
You gotta read out the description first.
Oh yeah. Do you want to do that, Tyler?
I can, yeah. Let's see here. Lady Suffolk, right? Yes. A lady of great leisure and even greater pleasure. Graying, majestic, and sensual.
I can't wait. So the letter begins, Dearest Abby, you may be surprised to hear from me. It's been some time since we spoke. However, I could never forget you. You taught me so many things. So many things. And for that, I am forever grateful. But beyond some of the things you taught me, the thing I remember most is financial responsibility. And 'twould be prudent to utilize those skills you have given me. So please, while I did genuinely, really, truly enjoy our time together, I would be most appreciative if you would perhaps compensate me for my silence upon the matters of our relationship. Thank you very much. I look forward to hearing back from you. Yours, ever truly, Sophia.
Excellent. And now we roll to see what the scene is?
Not yet. First, we see the vignette of Lady Suffolk receiving the letter.
All right. I think we see Lady Suffolk sitting in a beautifully appointed mansion. We have her sitting, kind of lounging on a chaise. We see that there are attractive servants roaming around, and a very young gentleman footman comes walking up. My lady, as he hands this letter. As he turns around before she opens it, she watches his hiney as he leaves the room. Cracking open the letter, she looks at it, and her eyes sort of glisten, and a smile comes across her face as she begins to laugh outrageously.
Amazing. So now, Sophia, you need to decide whether you want to portray the beginning, middle, or end of your relationship with Lady Suffolk.
Oh man, I kind of want to see how this began. That would be fun to me because they're very different.
Awesome. And yes, go ahead and roll.
Roll. I get. Oh, hang on. Wrong chat. 1 second.
A 4. Yes. Okay. Excellent. A 4 means that the scene involves more than one lover. So now, before we can start the scene, so as the next person along, it's me, actually, isn't it? Yes, it's I come into the scene as the other lover. So I need to roll to see who that might be.
Please roll a 1. Please roll a 1.
7. Who's number 7? Frederic Lamb. Frederic Lamb is an army lieutenant in his early 20s, sallow and sick. Oh, I wonder if he's not like the nephew of Lady Suffolk. What do you think about that, Tyler? Yes. So we actually, because we haven't seen Frederic Lamb before, we need to repeat that same process for Frederic Lamb. So what letter does Sophia write to Frederic Lamb?
Ooh. Okay, I'm gonna lean into like Sophia's sort of petulant, shallow side, and I think the letter goes something to the effect of, "Dear Frederic, you were okay, I guess. Like, you were like pretty fun, I think, from what I remember. I mean, not that I recall much, but anyway, I'm writing some memoirs, and my sisters are helping me. You know me, I'm not that good at writing, but they are very kind, particularly Fanny. But sorry, I'm rambling. Look, I would appreciate some money so I don't talk about what we did. I don't think you'd want me talking about what we did together. I think you'd be quite embarrassed. Yours sincerely, Sophia."
So you see Frederic. He is dressed in his full military uniform with the reds and the golds. He still has like a sallow, sort of pale complexion, and he's actually like in the distance from where he is. You can see like there's the sounds of a battle going on, like taking place, and he's sort of up in where the officers' camp is above it, and you can see him like being given what for by the general, like, "You idiot! How could you send them over there when you knew what their position was going to be?" And he's just like, like, "I gave you one order, and that order was to secure the right perimeter." And he's and then, much to his relief, he's interrupted mid conversation with the general by a private who runs up and is like, "Captain Lamb, there's a letter for you." And he takes it and is like, "Excuse me, General, I must read this letter." And he takes the letter and he opens it up, and you just see him like looking really confused. So that's his vignette. So in this scene, that is the beginning of your relationship with Lady Suffolk. Is it the beginning, middle, or end of your relationship with Frederic Lamb?
Ooh. Oh my god. I think it has to be the middle, right? Like that's the grossest, like.
Yes. Awesome. So we don't roll again for Frederic. So now you get to set the scene.
Oh my god, this is so messy already. I think it has to be like one of those. I think the scene has to be like Frederic and Sophia have come from like a turn around the garden kind of thing, and they have that kind of like flush, rosy, like lover's eyes thing at them going on. Is like they're quite holding hands, but they're like almost holding hands. It's just sort of coming back into the mansion, and I think that's when they bump into Lady Suffolk, sort of perhaps like maybe in the what's a good room, like the maybe like the parlor room, or I don't know, like, or maybe she's heading out to go outside. Is there like going inside perhaps? And I think like the shot we get of Sophia is like her taking in this very majestic, perhaps taller, older woman, and has that look of like captivated awe as she takes in the sort of the majesty of her aura.
And Frederic's just like, Aunt!
Frederic, how lovely. You've gotten a friend.
Yes. Oh, please, allow me to introduce you. This is Sophia Wilson.
Miss Wilson.
Why, yes, hello. Lovely to meet you. And she does like a bit of a curtsy and bats her lashes at you.
Oh, what a charming girl, Freddie.
Oh, and he looks very chuffed.
You are too kind.
Freddie, you really should get her some refreshments. Leave the dear girl with me a moment.
Oh, yes, of course, Aunt. How inconsiderate of me. I'm very sorry, Sophia. And he rushes out of the room.
Oh, I thank you. I'm so incredibly parched. That is very kind. He's such a kind boy.
He's some kind.
Yes, he is quite kind. But not nearly as captivating as you, ma'am.
Well, aren't you indeed the sweet little thing? I imagine she comes over and takes your arm.
Well, as some people call me that, but some people think I'm just quite immature, and I don't think that's very fair.
Well, it's absolutely wonderful. My husband's sister has worried so about Freddie. And, of course, I share my own doubts at, well, what he's going to become.
Yes, he is not the manliest of men, if I may be so bold, but again, very sweet.
Yes, well, sometimes there's something charming to sweet and feminine, now isn't there?
Oh, indeed. I sometimes wish that I was more feminine. I ripped too many dresses running around outside and being too loud. I fear that I need to be more of a woman, you know?
Oh, you're quite enough woman, I would think. You know, we're a very close family here.
Oh, yes. Frederic has mentioned that family is very important to him.
Yes. I think that, you know, with Freddie stepping out with a young lady, it would only be appropriate that I got to know you better.
Oh, we are not stepping out. I mean,
More of stepping in, dear?
oh, you make me blush. But yes, I would much like to get to know you. You're quite a sight to behold, if I may be so bold. I mean.
Now you make me blush. She doesn't blush.
But Sophia definitely is like bright red. And she's just like laughing, like, oh my god, you're the coolest person. I'm not sure I want to date you or be you, kind of thing.
And I think at this point, Frederic comes running back into the room and he's like, lemonade for all.
Oh, thank you, Frederic. But she's totally looking like right at Lady Suffolk still. She's like, just put it over there. That would be lovely. Thank you.
Freddie, dear, we will be going on a hunting trip. You really should invite Miss Wilson.
Oh, certainly. Of course. Miss Wilson, it would be my delight. And Freddie sort of takes your hand, like, you know, politely.
And she takes it at that moment of hesitation as she's sort of looking at Frederic, but then she's looking more at Lady Suffolk and just like, oh, I don't want to look too into him. But she'll go along with it.
There's really no telling what we'll bag on the hunt now, is there?
No, and I've never actually been hunting before. Is it difficult?
It's really more deciding your prey.
Oh, what sort of things do you hunt, ma'am?
Oh, all sorts of little things.
I think you'll quite enjoy it, Sophia. Unexpected things always happen on a hunt.
Oh, I can imagine. And there must be some sort of picnic, or I imagine some sort of refreshment. I would look forward to that too, amongst all of the hunting things and everything.
Of course. Lemonade?
Please.
Cool.
I like seeing.
Yeah.
So great.
Nice. So let's flash back to Lady Suffolk first and see what her reply is to the letter.
Oh, my dear heart, to hear from you again. It just delights me to know that you're doing well and thinking of me. I think of you often. I tend to not give payments without some more significant returns. Do feel free to drop by the house and perhaps we can make some sort of bargain. I'm sure that there's more than mere scribblings I could find use for. Yours always, Lady S.
Great. Frederick's, I think Frederic, you see him like go, oh shit. And he's like goes back into his bunk. And he's at the foot of the bed. There's like a little strong box, safe box. And he opens it up, and he looks in it, and he's like, ugh. And he starts writing it. Dear Sophia, please don't say bad things about me. I haven't any money. Frederic.
Oh my gosh. I
feel so bad. How are they related?
I was thinking husband's sister's son, but...
Yes, I think so.
Definitely no blood relation there.
So now you get to write amazing things about Frederic and
my gosh.
Suffolk.
The pressure.
I myself am waiting for the scene where Lady Suffolk turns up in someone else's story.
Cool.
So what do I write this under? What do I write this?
GM notes.
GM notes. Oh, cool. Perfect.
Oh, no. So that one is moved to Anne, and Tyler, you are the next sister, and the lover moves to V.
Alrighty.
So while Lauren is writing V, do you want to roll for which lover you will be?
I will do so. I am Cecil Tilbury. Oh, this is cute. This is fun.
All right. Okay, I suppose I write my letter, correct?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Dearest Cecil, I look back upon our time together with such fondness. Your music soothed my soul, and your body inflamed my heart. I am writing memoirs, and I know that you wouldn't mind if I brought your name into them, having such great meaning between us in our relationship. However, I do not think it would be fair for me to ask such a thing of you without the option of you choosing to avoid being a subject of my writings. Of course, such an enormous gap would require a considerable amount of work on my part to compensate for. Therefore, I can only find it right that you find some compensation for me in return. I expect payment on return of post. Yours.
And on the other side, Cecil Tilbury is just throwing his, I think he plays the harp or the piano forte at times as well. He's just finished practicing and he's idly going through his mail for the day. Another invitation to so-and-so Grand Palace. Another invitation to play at so-and-so's wedding. The Great Theatre. Ooh, marked and confidential. He opens it and he's like, what an interesting opportunity come my way this time.
Lovely. All right, and now, do I roll on this? I roll on this.
Oh, yes, that's right. The D4.
All right.
First, you need to decide whether this scene will be the beginning, middle, or end of the relationship.
Oh, right, yes.
Oh, let's see a beginning. I always like a nice beginning.
Perfect. And then you roll. 1.
Ooh.
So, this is interesting because it is the beginning of a relationship, but on a 1, the scene involves conflict between the sister and the lover.
Alrighty. I imagine that we see Anne at a concert, or no, probably more like a salon where Cecil is playing. and it's full of the hoi polloi. This is the highest of society, and you and I probably are the not members, but you've been brought in as entertainment. I've been brought in as arm candy.
Yeah, we're working.
Right. And I see a certain, you finish playing, there's the delight to that. And as you move away to get a drink, Anne comes up, waiting for a gentleman to get her a drink. You're not half bad.
Well, I'm an up-and-comer, as they say. May I have the pleasure of meeting you, Lady?
Miss Wilson.
Miss Wilson. I am Mr. Cecil Tilbury.
I don't often take the time to speak to the talent, but I wanted to say that I find some of your little tiddlings quite amusing. I imagine it helps you, I don't know, keep bread to mouth.
Well, it is the greatest joy of my life to be able to infuse my life with music and to play music for others and have them understand my art.
Oh,
Do you
art,
know what that
yes.
feels like?
My arts generally produce feelings, yes.
Yes, that is the greatest thing one can do with one's art, I believe.
Well, I suppose that if you can find those willing to pay for ditties, then that's a fine thing. I wouldn't imagine that it's very easy being a musician.
I'm sorry. By your tone, am I to understand that you don't think it's... He's like looks confused, like he's trying to decide whether you're just playing with him or if you truly mean what you say. He doesn't really know. He's quite young at this stage. He doesn't really know what to do with this sort of character.
A handsome face, a bit of talent. I suppose that you managed to get by.
Managed to get by. And he starts getting a little bit offended. I do more than just manage to get by. I am, for someone as early in their career as me, playing for the highest of echelons of society. I would say that is a cause to be most proud. And for someone of your advanced standing to be still, I don't know, is it the third or the fourth in line? Not in line, just a fourth in consideration for some of these gentlemen.
I suppose that experience does have a bit of benefit. I imagine, as you say, so new to your craft. At least you're off the chain and the hurdy-gurdy, though, aren't you? I once saw a dancing bear at one of these salons. You're much better than that.
Ooh, all the shade. Yes, well, he picks up his harp and storms off.
I think she sees her gentleman caller and goes off with him, but I could almost see them kind of, the two of us looking back at each other and catching each other's eye as we separate, maybe.
No, what happens is that Cecil comes back onto this, I don't know, the stage a little dazed and says, I've got an encore piece that I would like to play. It is called One of Such Age. is not so beautiful as one thinks.
Oh,
And then it's like the most beautiful
lovely.
piece ever. So spirited and passionate.
Lovely.
Oh, amazing. Let's flash back to the vignette. What is Cecil's reply?
Cecil's reply is, "Dearest Anne, you must have seen the bills for my latest performance. Please come. I have prepared some seats at the box for you. I would like you to see the rapturous applause I will get on this and on my inclusion in your grand memoirs. I trust that the sum of, I don't know, £5,000 is enough for you to fondly remember my beautiful art and the feelings that it may produce in you and many others."
Awesome.
Wow. So Cecil paid up.
Yes, but he wants to appear
He
in
wants
it.
to be positively mentioned in the memoir.
That's-
But this still takes him out of the game because we can't throw any more shade at him. But I still want to hear what it, just as a brief aside, what does Anne write about Cecil that is very complimentary?
Almost certainly she will talk about this amazing young talent and how deft his fingers were upon the keys and other things. I remember him fondly. His song went right through me.
Great.
I love it. It was still like a tiny bit shady.
Of course. Awesome. So I am the next active sister, and Lauren,
And I write something in for...
you don't need to because
Because they're
Cecil
out.
paid,
Mhm.
even
Cool.
though he paid to be included.
Gotcha.
Yes, Lauren, roll to see which lover. Richard Pettigrew.
Oh my god, I was hoping I was gonna get Richard Pettigrew.
Oh boy. This is very clearly very early on in Harriet's career, I will say. Or not, maybe not. Dear Dick, it has been a great many years since I have seen you. And yet, a part of me will never forget your voice, your turn of phrase, your expression. Your command of the written word was second to none. And it is perhaps inspired by you in more than one way that I have decided to release a memoir of my life. I am sure that if you were with me, you would consider my description to be in the dullest of terms. But for me, realism and complete and total truth and honesty have always been the guiding tenets of my writing. And so it is that I must inform you that if you wish to have control over language, which I know you so dearly crave, then, and you do not wish me to choose the words that should represent you in my memoir, then here is an address to which you can send a sum worthy of the honor. Yours, Harriet.
Awesome. So the vignette is definitely like a really long, lingering shot on an estate. Like that looks very quiet, and also, and there's like a blue sky in the background and like birds chirping. And then you see sort of Richard Pettigrew come home and like opens the door, and I guess he lives with his parents. I don't know why I pictured that, but he doesn't, you know, he's a poet. He doesn't have an income. And he's like, "Mother, I have returned." And his mother from somewhere far off says like, "Oh, welcome home. This like the post is waiting for you whenever you get to it." And he like sort of looks over, and it's this mountain of post that's been gathering for like a few weeks. And he's sort of like sorting through it, and he sees this one addressed to him and sees that it's from Harriet, and sort of like opens it. And he's like, "Oh shit. Shit. And then he sort of sees the date that it's like been some weeks or months since she's posted it. He's like, "Oh fuck." And he sort of like quickly grabs a quill out to start penning a response back right away.
Oh, awesome. So I would like to see the end of their relationship.
Ooh.
And let me roll. Oh. Okay. Well, that might give us a clue as to why the relationship ended. So that means that Tyler, roll up a lover.
Oh, alrighty. Okay.
I wish we could always roll up a lover in real life.
Let's see. I guess I'm rolling a D9, which I don't know what a good one for that would be. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you can just roll a D10.
3. Maybelle Wilcox.
She's back. Good lord.
Oh my.
Okay, so that means we don't need to repeat the initial letter writing scene. But after this scene, Maribel will get the opportunity to pen a second letter. Because basically the first section of the memoir has come out.
Did we have a freeze or am I frozen?
I
think they had a freeze.
I was like, please don't be me.
Yes, I think it's those two froze.
That's certainly a change from the usual for me. Usually I'm the one who was freezing. Oh my gosh, this is going to be amazing.
This game is wonderful.
Oh, it's so much fun.
Depending on how they come back, we may have to restart an event.
Oh, yeah.
Because if Haley has to drop, it'll have to get a new set.
Yeah, hopefully not. Hopefully not. That'll be a shame for the recording.
Is just wonderful.
And I'm so glad it's with you two. Like, you play all these characters so well with like that perfect amount of like sincerity, but then just like ridiculousness as well.
I love an over-the-top character, and I love everything you ever do. Your characters are so good.
Thanks. Oh man, I haven't played a young character. I'm just trying to channel like Lydia from Pride and Prejudice, or pretty much like when teenagers try and do Shakespeare. I'm trying to channel that as well.
Well, Haley did drop. But we're still going live.
We're still going live. Sometimes it's a bit odd. Like, I've started a live chat and then had to leave, and then as the host, and it's still been fine. But
she just wrote me saying sorry.
Oh no! Hopefully they can come back. I really want to see how the end of this relationship goes, because like, oh my god, Richard and Maribel are like the complete opposite. You've got like this very structured, like process-oriented etiquette author, and then what I imagine to be like the most like foppish like Romeo character. Oh, but what a fun premise for a game. And they both just dropped at a roll 20 as well.
Hmm. Well, if you'll excuse me 2 seconds, I'm going to take a bio break while we have this moment.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, me too. Hopefully I'll see you in a few.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm sorry.
So sorry.
That's all right.
That's
At least
the internet.
At least it stayed live, which I was afraid it was going to drop and
Yeah,
we'd
me
have to remake
too.
one.
Yeah.
We're back.
Sorry about that. Typical consequence of the Sydney internet.
Oh yes.
Where last we left off.
Last we left off. So, so this is the end of Harriet's relationship with Richard Pettigrew. And it's also the end of Harriet's relationship with Maribel Wilcox. So I picked end for both of them.
I also realized I described Richard. He's just totally that like foppish poet with like the loose linen shirt that's like several buttons undone too low kind of thing. Like it's this total look.
The full Shelley.
I think this scene is so I like this idea because it sheds even more light on the conversation that Harriet had with Anne at the very beginning of the game. And I think it fits with Richard's nature. I think this scene is Richard catching Harriet with Mrs. Wilcox. How do we feel about that?
Love it.
That's amazing.
So I think that oh god, I really want to say that they're in the Pettigrew estate, actually. And they've both been staying there as guests. Harriet's been there for like quite some time. And Maribel's been there like for 2 or 3 weeks, maybe. And Richard's gone off to like, I think, poet or something. I don't know. And Harriet has seized this opportunity to spend some time with Maribel. And I think we'll see, like, after they've spent some time together already, so it's sort of near the end, and they're just like hanging out afterwards, like half dressed or perhaps not. And and like drinking and chatting about whatever.
All right. And you rolled what? More than a lover? Was that our?
2 lovers was what I rolled.
Oh, 2. Yeah, okay. More than one lover. That's what.
More than one lover. Yes.
I think we probably do have them, and I like them in a bit of undress. As Miss Wilcox, yes, Mirabelle is probably. No, dear, I've told you over and over again. Pinky up, delicate. I like my girls delicate. As she reaches down and just whole mouths of one of the tarts on the plate.
Oh, Mrs. Wilcox, you know that no matter however you try to educate me, I'm never going to get it. But isn't that my charm, wouldn't you say?
It certainly is a bit of the struggle that I've always enjoyed in you, a challenge.
To be honest, I tire of these lessons sometimes.
Really?
They are so repetitive after a while. Pinky up, this down, put that there, put that someplace else. A girl can't always be told what to do.
I rather like telling you what to do.
What do you think of Richard?
He's a horrible little simp.
Is that where you hear like a door slam from somewhere and you just hear Richard's like exclamation of like, Harriet!
Yes.
Where art thou in this great establishment? I must speak with thee.
Harriet's reaction is sort of like, she looks a little bit amused. What's Maribel's reaction?
Probably like he's just reaffirmed exactly what she just said. You know, what a horrible simp.
And I think you hear him get closer and closer, and he sort of just like explodes into the room and like with a certain amount of passion. He says, Harriet, I've been looking for you forever. My heart, my soul, my flower, my butterfly. And then I think that's as he's saying these words, he sees the 2 of you. And
Richard.
Harriet and you, Maribel.
I'm just instructing the girl.
Won't you come and join us, Richard?
See, I was hoping that you would be alone, and you can. I think he's like trying to now hide the fact that he's got a ring.
Oh. I'm rarely alone, darling. You should know that.
And indeed, you are very popular, and obviously so, for you are the sun and the moon and the stars, and who would not gravitate towards you?
Come in. Lord. Sit down. What did you want to tell me?
Well, see, 'tis quite. Maribel, are you sure you can't leave?
I think that would probably be best. I find it displeasing to have men in my boudoir. Please, don't muss my sheets. As she stands and throws her things down and kind of casts a dark look towards Harriet. I'm not entirely sure there's much reason to continue your lessons.
I have intruded. I do apologize. I see the 2 of you were previously occupied.
Don't worry about it, Richard. This is just how I am, you see? What were you going to say?
Oh, I do fear the moment has been lost. But, and he sort of like fumbles in his pocket. Like, Harriet, you are set to delight. And I've been musing over it for at least a few days, which is like probably longer than he's been thinking about anything. He's very fickle. I've been thinking for the past week that I would be a fool if I would not take this opportunity as it has come to me. And Harriet, we are meant to be together forever. please, would you do me the honor of marrying me? We shall elope. I have a horse and cart outside. We can leave right now.
Oh my word, Richard. You are a very adorable gentleman. And she pats him on the cheek. I do like you ever so much. You do say the funniest things. It is quite amusing.
And?
And what?
Would you do the honor of eloping with me?
Perhaps next week. I'm very busy this week.
I do not know if I have the coin to hire a cart for next week. Are you sure? Well, perhaps I could see to it next week. This is not how I imagine this going.
Nothing in this life is as we imagined it, Richard.
Well, perhaps I should take my leave. I apologize.
Yes, you rather should. I'm sure I'll see you later.
Indeed. Take care, my love. Adieu.
Of course. And Harriet sort of yells after Maribel. It's like, both of you, insufferable. Oh my god, I have a migraine.
Oh my god.
That's the end of that scene. Let's go back to see Richard's letter first.
Oh my god.
Crying.
I think Richard's letter is, of course, like 6 billion pages, but I won't talk for 6 billion pages. But I think in a nutshell, it is, Dear Harriet, I would be honored if the world knew about our unfettered romance. Though it ended bitterly and somewhat awkwardly, I would be most honored if you captured me with the pen that I handle so fondly every day.
Cool. And Maribel.
I think we probably, since we had the first letter before the first memoir, I think we've had a bit of the serial start coming out. And maybe Maribel's realizing that she's not going to get editing privileges and may not come off so great in this. Harriet, my dear, I have to believe that at least some of my lessons have taken hold. A lady should be gentle and should be generous. I shall be generous. Let you be gentle.
Oh, that's
You
so
will receive this sum. I wish to hear from you no more, or you shall hear from my barrister.
That was so good. What a letter. I love it. Awesome. So Maribel paid up. I will write something awful about Richard. In the meantime, Fanny, it is your scene, and
Woohoo.
oh, okay, I'm the lover. Never mind. So let me quickly write something about Richard.
Okay. Can you roll your thingy real quick, just so I can start thinking of what letter I would
Yep.
do. Thanks.
I've written it anyway. Hi. Lady Charlotte Grey.
Aww. Okay.
So we start off with Fanny's letter to Charlotte.
Yep. You're good to go?
Yep.
Okay. Fanny writes, My dear Charlotte, I did not know how to write this letter to you. I kept going back and forth about whether I should or not. But as I have made the jump to include you in my memoirs, I write you now. I wish to write about our relationship, but I understand that may be very hard on you. I also understand that your current situation is not the most... in your current situation, you might not have much to convey to me, and I understand that's fine. It's more a matter of principle. Any amount is okay. And then there's like a whole bunch of crossed out bits. And then it just ends. Yours, Fanny.
Okay, so you see Lady Charlotte Grey. And she's a very stately looking lady, a bit older in the present, quite pale and freckled, and she's wearing a beautiful, expensive looking dress. But then when you sort of like zoom out and look at her surroundings, she's staying in quite a little shabby sort of like cottage. And like her son is in the scene as well, and he's not dressed very well at all, and he sort of like comes in and is like, mother, and Lady Charlotte's like, what? This letter has come for you? I don't know, it's got your name on it. And he passes it to her, and she slowly, very slowly and deliberately opens it up and reads it.
Aww. Time for me to roll.
First, you have to decide if you want to see the beginning, middle, or end of their relationship.
I want to see the middle of it.
Cool.
I haven't really started with the middle. I don't know if it's going to be difficult to do the middle, but we'll see.
It'll be fine.
All right. A 3.
A 3. So that means that it is actually about siblings. So pick a relationship. You can't pick Harriet, just FYI.
Oh, I think this is the scene for Sophia taught me what it means to love.
Awesome.
Let me think a moment about what. I think what this scene is so Lady Charlotte is in the past, in the flashback, living in a great estate, and it's large and beautiful and very stately. The gardens are some of the most beautifully cultivated gardens in the area, and she would often go for a morning walk in the gardens. And at that time, Fanny and Sophia were guests at the estate. And we were, overlooking the gardens from our window. She'd placed us in quite one of the best placed rooms with the best view of their gardens. And so Sophia and I are just sitting on that little day bed on the huge bay window, looking out at the morning. Fanny sighs.
Sorry, do you see like Lady Grey strolling?
Yeah. That's what I'm
saying. The window when you look out. Yeah,
that's right. So it's like dawn, where we've woken up. I've woken Sophia up. No, I've woken up early to watch, and Sophia's probably just been disturbed, and that's how we've ended up there. So I'm like sighing, my breath is hitting the cold glass, and it's a bit foggy, etc.
And Sophia's like, Fanny, why are you up so early? It's not even daybreak.
It is daybreak in my heart.
Oh, have you been talking to Richard again?
Who?
Never
Oh,
mind.
Richard.
Why? Pray tell, what is... Oh, more accurately, who has captured your heart so?
Nobody. Just this beautiful garden, I think.
Oh, this beautiful garden. And she takes a look out the window and she sees Lady Grey. She says, indeed, the flowers are quite wonderful, particularly at this time of the morning, going for a stroll.
Yes, it is. Did you have any plans today, Sophia?
Well, I was just going to spend some time with my dear sister, but perhaps if you would like to spend some time with another person, I could take my leave with my dear husband. Who is a delight. But you know what? I often find that a good way to pass the time is practicing piano. And you know who plays piano so delightfully? Is Miss Lady Grey.
Oh, I haven't had the pleasure of hearing her play.
Oh, she taught me some wonderful tricks.
She did? Did you receive any private instructions from her of the kind that Harriet often receives?
Oh, only one lesson, but I shall not divulge the nature of the lesson per se. But 'twas very informative.
And you can see that Fanny is like very, very jealous, and you can see that she's struggling with it because she's never felt this sort of like intense feeling before.
Oh, Fanny, I'm teasing. You love her. That is so delightful.
I've always wanted to play the piano. Well,
indeed. Well, you look very jealous about this piano, I must say.
Shall we go for a morning wander, perhaps, Sophia?
Indeed, I think that would be best.
Okay.
The gardens are lovely.
So we get ready, and we wander out into the cold, crisp morning.
I wonder whether or not we can sort of like simply leave the scene with you getting ready and sort of Lady Charlotte noticing you looking out the window and sort of like taking out her handkerchief and waving at you. Does that suit you, Fanny?
It does.
Good. So we flash back to Lady Charlotte after she's read the letter, and she walks up some rickety stairs into a small room and opens the door and walks in and over to a small side cupboard, and she pulls out a key from underneath a pot plant and opens a drawer, and in the drawer is a small locket. And she takes the locket out, and inside the locket is a picture of Fanny. And she puts the locket into an envelope and writes, "Dearest Fanny, here's what I can give you. Think fondly of me. Your Charlotte." And sends it by post. So she paid up. That's her version of paying up.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I don't know if that's good or bad for Fanny. Receiving that would hurt. This isn't what I want. I want you to still have this.
You said this game was lighthearted and fun.
Go back to the other scenes.
Yeah, that is the curse of playing Fanny in this game.
I think when Fanny gets that, she's like, When I was younger, etc.
Nice. So that means that it is Lauren, it is Sophia's scene, and V, you are the lover.
I am the lover. Okay, let me roll. What did D10 now? 8.
8. Ah, Lady Suffolk. And let us make use of the new information about her that was written in so well by Sophia when last we saw her. So your challenge is to make that relevant in the scene as well.
Okay.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. So, would you like to see the beginning, middle, or end of the relationship?
Well, we had beginning already, right?
Ah, sorry, you're quite right. We've had the beginning, so the middle or the end.
This is the continuation.
Yes, it would be a continuation.
I just, based on the really silly thing that I wrote about Dear Abby, I kind of want to see this be in the middle.
Cool.
So we can see this information come out.
How did the last scene end? What was the very last thing of the last scene?
I think a promise of hunting.
Oh yeah, that's right. The hunting.
Yeah.
So this should be like either after the hunting trip or at the hunting trip. Or somewhere. All right. Okay. Yeah. That's right.
And now I roll a d4, right?
Yep.
Yes.
Ooh, what is a 1 again?
A 1 is a scene of conflict between the sister and the lover.
Oh.
Oh my god. Okay, I totally know what this is.
Yeah.
I think this is at like not quite a party, but like sort of a bit of a soiree, like kind of evening at Lady Suffolk's place. It's like maybe 20-ish people. And we've had dinner and everyone's kind of mingling in the evening. There are people playing piano and showing off their skills and that kind of thing. Instead of a general chatter and drinking. And the light is quite soft and the feeling is very relaxed as people are just sort of like chilling out. And I think Sophia finds Lady Suffolk. I think she sort of like maybe pulls her away from a conversation with Lord Suffolk, just like by tugging on like her sleeve. And she says, sorry, what's her first name again? So bad.
Abigail. So it's like, yes, dear, yes.
Abigail.
Oh.
Yes, hello.
I'm sorry, Charles. This is going to be important.
Oh, very important. Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for inviting me over for dinner. It was lovely. The pheasant was magnificent.
Ah, yes. They always do the bird up quite prettily at these things.
Oh, indeed. And speaking of pretty things, I was hoping that you would delight me with some of the magnificent piano skills that you have acquired. For a little birdie to tell me that you are quite the magnificent pianist.
Ah, yes, that is correct. But perhaps you should play a piece first. You know, younger ladies first.
Oh no, I would not want to take up your space. This is your party. You should be able to like take the spotlight. And I am so dying to hear you play. Your finger work is quite amazing.
And there's a few people who are overhearing this conversation, perhaps, and encouraging. You flatter an old woman. No, I can't. You should go first. You should definitely go first. Yes, dear.
No, I insist. Like, why is it such a big deal? I mean, you should not be so modest.
No, at my age, you know, we have arthritis in our fingers. It makes it quite difficult and painful to.
Oh, but Abigail, I saw you open a jar of marmalade not this morning, and you managed to do it just fine. What is wrong?
She looks quite sternly at you and she's like, enough. I said no. And she says that very commandingly. One can't always bow to the frivolous requests of the young.
Frivolous? I'm not... No one says no to me. No one says no to me.
No one's ever said no to you. Is that why you're so upset?
No. I'm upset because you are amazing.
Suddenly she looks a lot more comfortable.
I must be away. You could take care. Have fun with Charles. I am leaving.
The party? The whole evening?
Yes.
You do realize you arrived here in my carriage, dear.
Well, I shall sit in the carriage and just wait there until the party's over. I'm no longer in the partying mood. This is ridiculous.
Yes, do wait in the carriage, she says.
Well, good evening.
Awesome.
And then later in the carriage.
So now Lady Suffolk has an opportunity, after the first chapter of the memoirs have come out, to reconsider. And write another letter.
Yes. She will write another letter to Sophia. Sophia, darling, I have not received a reply to my last correspondence, and that worries me more for your sake than I. My estate will be open to you, over the weekend. We are having a hunting trip. Please come, Lady S.
Oh my gosh.
So you can write another
awesome,
amazing tidbit about.
Oh, that was so good.
In the meantime, the active sister moves to Anne. And Lauren, when you have finished your excellent composition, you are the next lover as well.
Cool. I wrote something down anyway.
I haven't seen it yet. All right.
Of course, I roll, right?
Yeah, I'm reorganizing it to make it a bit easier. So I think just rolling a d6 now.
Oh, wow. Cool.
We've lost a lot of them.
I rolled a 6.
A 6 would be Reverend Samuel Gray.
Oh, a Reverend.
Ooh. Oh, nice. Excellent.
All right, and I suppose I pick for him whether it's beginning, middle, or end, right?
You have to write the letter first, since we actually haven't seen Reverend Samuel Gray.
Oh, yeah, have him. Warm, kind eyes and freckles, but it's actually a con man.
Okay.
All right. My dear Reverend, I have taken it upon myself to enlighten the world to the many adventures that I've had over my eventful life, and I can't imagine writing without including you, a man seeming so pious, but I suppose we know exactly the sins that sit on your heart, amongst other places. Perhaps you would find it worthy of a small tithe for me to admit you. If not, I'm sure all of society and even your small nook of it would be most interested in what we managed to do while kneeling in the church, of course. Yours, Anne.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
That's incredible.
yeah.
And that's Vignette, right? Just before I start.
Yeah, sorry?
Oh, and it's Vignette time now?
Yes.
Cool. Okay, awesome. So the vignette is definitely the Reverend looking through his mail, but obviously like each letter is addressed to a different him as throughout his like different con personalities. And he gets like to one that's like now the Reverend. And I feel like maybe he's not used the Reverend for some time. So he knows exactly like who it's from before he opens it up. And his palms are like sweating a bit. And he opens it and gives it a read. And I think he just like chuckles a bit to himself. Like not even like a full laugh. It's like a ha.
Nice.
Cool.
So now we decide whether I want to see the big. Anne, do you want to see the beginning, the middle, or the end of that relationship?
I think I want to see the middle.
Middle. Cool.
And then I roll a d4.
Mm-hmm.
And I shall do that. 4.
A 4. So this is again another scene with two lovers.
Oh dear.
So I am the next person in line. So I will roll to see. I think we've met everybody now.
Yeah.
No, I got the Reverend again. Let me try again.
It's the Reverend and a different persona of the Reverend.
Different persona.
Perfect.
Number 1. Oh no, it's someone new. It's Lord Suffolk. Awesome. Okay, so in that case you need to write another letter to Lord Suffolk.
Ooh, okay. Trying to remember if I've had any relationships with the Suffolks yet. Was I involved? I wasn't. I haven't been involved with them at all. Okay.
Not that we've seen yet.
But you may have, like, sort of, we sort of know where each other are.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Okay.
Let's see. Dearest Charles. Dearest Charles, I look back upon our tender moments together, and I cannot seem to get them from my mind. My heart still remembers you so fondly, and now, as I reach that point in a life where you look back and wish to show that which you've accomplished, so much of my life had to do with you. I foresee writing great reams about our time, our love. I would want, however, to allow you the opportunity, should you wish, for me to alter the name which this great love of my life is known by. However, I only speak truth. Imagination is hardly something that I could do. Perhaps a name and a small donation to help me in my publishing career will help me to provide fertile ground for my imagination to grow. I look forward to hearing from you. Anne.
Great. I think Charles is in the drawing room of the Suffolk mansion.
Lady Grey's like, one for you, Charles.
Yeah, pretty much. I think he's got his legs crossed. He's reading a newspaper and he's smoking a pipe, and he looks over at Lady Suffolk and he's like, "What letter are you reading? That has my name on it. Give that here." I've told you not to read my correspondence. I've told you twice. I've told you 3 times. And he gets
with your eyes are failing. Sometimes you just need someone to dictate the letters, you know.
and he picks it up and he has a look at it and he's like, "It's from Anne." And then he's like, just Anise. Cool. So do you want to see the beginning, middle, or end of your relationship with Lord Charles Suffolk?
I think the end for Charles.
The end. Excellent. So what is the scene we find ourselves in?
I think that probably Anne has been invited, kept around the Suffolk house so that she and Charles could have all manner of strange and unusual incidents, you know, the parlor, that sort of thing. And so she's there kind of as kept woman. But I think probably since we're in the middle of it, she and the Reverend have probably already begun flirtations and a bit more of that. So probably a catching scene wouldn't be so bad. I think probably Anne and Gray there, not Gray, the Reverend. Yes.
Yeah, Gray.
Sorry. Reverend.
No relation.
Are canoodling in one of the off rooms. And Reverend, I have to say, I've never known a man of the cloth who was so passionate.
I guess I'm just full of surprises. Much like yourself, you're delightful.
I do try. I would hate to think that you consider me some sort of tart. I realize that I have been somewhat forward with you.
Oh, not at all. If anything, I find you quite a spirited, fearless woman. I can definitely see the strength of God in you, and it reminds me of a passage of the Bible that something Ezekiel said, something or other. It's not important. It's not important.
From outside in the church, you hear the voice of Lord Suffolk. "Oh, Father, that art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." He's just praying to himself.
It is Lord Suffolk. He really shouldn't find us here together, Reverend. He and I are quite close.
No, especially not while I'm looking like this. And he sort of straightens his collar a bit and tries to look a bit more like kempt. Discretion would be wise. Twould not be done to the two of us. No, not like this. Perhaps you should leave and then I will follow.
Anne will straighten herself up and go walking out. Charles.
Anne? You told me you had gone to visit relatives.
I felt it best to take prayer. That's what one does before a journey. Charles, it really is, quite dangerous out on the roads, and I would hate to think that I wasn't right with the Lord.
No. I suppose if your relatives are anything like mine, you need a bit of prayer.
You have no idea.
Is the Reverend here?
I thought I may have seen him poking about here and there.
Lord Suffolk! My ears are burning.
Oh, I see that you were also with Miss Wilson.
Well, yes, the Lady Suffolk invited me round after church this morning, and it would be rude to pass up an invitation to have tea post sermon.
What? Lady Suffolk invited you over.
Definitely.
And yet now I find you here.
Yes. I must be away. I have important someone needs me. It is very important. Priest church things. You understand?
Thank you for your blessings, Father.
Oh, anytime. Anytime you have something weighing you down on your chest, like, please feel free to come and unload it upon me.
This gentleman, I think once the Reverend exits, Charles is like, this gentleman has always seemed extremely odd to me. And he starts walking towards the back room. Like, I'm sure there's something strange about him. He's a new Reverend and he's always behaving bizarrely.
Charles, surely you're just being suspicious.
Not at all. What he said now was total nonsense. Lady Suffolk would never invite someone as dull as a clergyman to our house.
I'll admit she does not seem particularly pious.
And he opens the door of the room and finds what does he find, Reverend, that gives the game away a bit?
Ooh, good question. Perhaps he did leave like his collar or something. I don't know, like something. Or what else could he leave behind?
It doesn't have to give the game away about the relationship. It could give the game away about who he really is.
Ah, yes. Ooh. This is my knowledge of religion is letting me down. What would be a not priestly thing to have?
He finds a not priestly thing.
Yes.
What? What is this doing in the belongings of a Reverend?
You're right, that is very odd. And I think Anne probably looks more intrigued than anything else. Certainly not shocked.
Well, we simply must expose this man. Anne, you've been spending time with him and yet... Wait, you were in the back room. You must have seen this.
Well, I hardly would have known what it meant. Of course, Charles, I'm so generally, ignorant of these sorts of things. I would have never imagined the father would have, well, that.
I find that very difficult to believe, Miss Wilson. Were you?
Perhaps I also was trying to expose him, Charles.
Well, then, did you find him to be exposed?
I'll admit that I learned a bit about him. And, Charles, I somewhat think that your tone is a little inappropriate.
Well, if you know so much about this gentleman, then it is you who must come forward to the papers immediately. You cannot have a con artist for a Reverend.
Charles, I suppose that it would be up to you to take care of this. I have relatives to see. Good day.
Good. So let's see the Reverend flashback to the Reverend's vignette first.
Awesome. I don't know if this is like totally appropriate, but I had in mind like it's not even a letter from him. It's like some doctored response from one of his next of kin that says like, to whom it may concern, like Reverend is it Samuel Gray is no longer with us. He passed away. Please like accept our condolences. Deepest regrets. And then like his like Thomas Gray or something like that. Or yeah, which is totally like a full-on lie. Yeah. I don't know if that counts as like buying out or like you can print whatever you want about him, but I will leave that to you.
No, I think
Sounds
you have
like
to, as the lover, you have to make the call.
Oh, okay. I kind of like that's free license to print what you want about him if he's
Okay.
he's allegedly deceased.
I like that too.
Cool. And I think, yes, I think Lord Charles goes very, very red in the face. And he takes his pipe and he dashes it out on the newspaper. And he's like, "Those Wilsons! We'll never be rid of them!" And he tears up the letter. And then he goes, "Drat!" And he pieces it back together to get the return address. And he writes, "Dear Anne, I submit to nobody's will. Write and be damned. But with it is a rather large sum of money."
Lovely.
That's amazing.
Did that mean the Reverend, did he also get paid up?
No, he didn't.
Okay.
I'm gonna move.
So you've got to write something, Tyler, you've got to write something for the scandalous for the Reverend.
Gotcha.
There are so many things you could do.
Yeah, that's true.
Can I not move this token?
In the meantime, it seems I am the next sister, and
Should be Anne. That's the Tyler should be the other one, but I can't move it for some reason.
Tyler is the next lover. Excellent.
All right, I'm attempting to write something real quick here.
No worries.
So what were the? Can we refresh ourselves on the end game conditions?
So the game would end if we used up our relationships, which I think is highly unlikely given that we've rolled almost no threes. If everybody is paid up, or if one person has had the beginning, middle, and end full.
Ah, okay. How close are we to that? Pretty close.
And then if that happens, we have a scene between that person and the active sister in the present. And that's the scene that ends the game.
All right. Okay, so who is it? Mia's sister? Is that me?
No, you're the lover. I'm the sister.
Okay. So you roll for who we have?
Yeah, I could do it. Frederic Lamb. Poor boy.
Frederic. All right.
Aww. He was grossly inadequate for service, but entered the profession through a generous donation from the Suffolks.
Lovely.
Good. So let me. I think let's do. Let's do the beginning. Let's do the beginning of their relationship.
All right. And
roll to see. 1. So this is a scene of conflict between the sister and the lover. So how do we begin our relationship in a moment of conflict?
Do you need to write me a letter?
No, because you've already been written a letter and you've already been introduced.
Frederic?
Because yes, he was a previous lover of Sophia, and was snatched away by Lady Suffolk so very effectively.
Gotcha. Okay.
So I think we find Harriet in a camp of soldiers. And it's sort of like I think, again, similar to the scene with Cecil, Harriet is there with another soldier. I think she's there with a captain, and Frederic's a lieutenant at this stage, and the captain's gone away to do his own thing, and Harriet is bored because she gets bored so very easily. And so she sort of looks around the room at what might amuse her, and sees this perfectionistically dressed but sickly and sallow-looking man looking at the edge of the ballroom, looking like he'd like to talk to somebody, but he doesn't really know how to start conversations.
Okay.
And she doesn't go over to him, but she gives him a look from across the room and rolls her eyes like, whoa, these occasions are so very dreary.
I think he kind of nervously will begin moving over to her, and you can kind of see that almost hello, my lady.
I've seen you before, Lieutenant Lamb.
It's a real honor that you remember me. Most people don't.
I remember everybody. How are the Suffolks?
They're good, I suppose. Auntie is quite a formidable woman.
Yes, I've heard reports.
Would you care to dance?
Listen, Freddie, I'm very bored. And I'd rather love a dance. But only if we can create a scene. Would you do that for me?
A scene?
Yes, you know, a little bit of attention. Do a little something a little bit unusual. None of these drab quadrilles I see on the floor.
Well, I suppose. I mean, it would be very rude of me to say no.
It would be very rude of you to say no. And she takes Frederic's hand and leads him onto the dance floor. And they start dancing. At first, it's quite normal. And then they start doing something suitably ridiculous. And they sort of draw the attention of the crowd around them. And the captain that Harriet is meant to be with strides over and crosses his arms and stands next to them and is like, Harriet, what are you doing? And she's like, don't interrupt me, I'm dancing with Lieutenant Lamb.
That's not dancing, my dear.
This is Lieutenant Lamb's favorite. Tell him, Frederic.
I'll say it's the best dance I've had ever.
How's that, Captain?
Frederic, go empty the chamber pots in the mess.
Sir, I am an officer.
Just when I was having a bit of fun for once.
Madam, if you will excuse me, duty seems to call. But you see him kind of steel himself, and he reaches down and takes your hand and kisses it. I do, however, hope we see each other again. And cuts his eyes over to the captain very soon.
Me too, Lieutenant Lamb, and I'm sure we will. And, like, very exaggerated. I'm sure we will. Eyes at the captain, also. I think that's the end of the scene.
Lovely.
So let us flash back to Freddie.
I think that we see him still at the battlefield. You know, he had run back to get this letter, and the troops have fallen back, and we could see that captain is now the general that's in charge of the battalion that is there. And as Freddie looks out of his tent towards the general, he sort of reaches back down towards his letterbox's little portable desk, pulls off the ring that was given to him by the Suffolks to kind of show his adoption into the family, probably the only thing he has of any real value. And he writes, my memories are quite fond of you. I have little I can give, but my position would be most dangerous should I not request you please leave my name from your memoirs. The battlefield can be a very dangerous place.
Oh, I like that.
Poor boy.
Awesome. Great.
The poor boy.
So,
I feel so bad for him.
that means
I?
that it is Fanny, and I am the next lover.
So roll up.
I will roll up. You have only 3 left to select from. All have caved before the might of the fictional memoir. I have rolled Lady Suffolk.
Oh, that's going to end the game.
It will end the game, for this is the last scene. So the way this works is we see the scene in the past as normal, and then instead of writing a reply letter, we see the scene in the present.
Oh, no! Okay.
So, would you like to roll a d4?
I'm afraid to roll a d4. 3. Oh, perfect. Is that the one with the sisters?
Yes, it is. You've only got "and save me in a time of crisis."
Yes, that is the one I will pick. That's easy.
And that works well because this is the end of your relationship with Lady Suffolk.
Cool. Okay, so I think at this stage, Sophia's been seeing Lady Suffolk for quite some time. And then there's a moment, I guess during that time, Fanny had also become somehow intertwined with this majestic lady. As it is very difficult to say no to Lady Suffolk. especially when one tries to be polite. Never works. And I think this is where Anne is going to come in as someone who, I don't think it's reason that she's championing, but possibly for some other reason points to the correct path to take in this situation. So the scene itself would be, I think, still at the Suffolk estate, where we so fondly spend our time. And Lady Suffolk is taking her afternoon nap. And Anne and I are attending to some sewing in the drawing room. Just for fun.
All right. I think that Anne, is probably, this may be after she and Charles have had a bit of the falling out. Mm-hmm. So maybe coming in to tell you that it might be time for us to leave.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just sewing, embroidering or something.
Fanny, dear.
Yes.
What may be a good idea for you to pack your things.
Pack my things? But I've only half completed this portrait of Charles.
I'm not entirely sure Charles is going to be overly happy with at least anything from my sister. Perhaps he would still look at you fondly, but he is not fond of me anymore.
Ah. So your Sunday prayers didn't go quite as planned.
He may have stumbled upon my devotions.
I do wonder about devotion, whether it is best when one devotes oneself entirely to a single person. It is such a difficult thing to do in life.
It is extremely difficult, my sweet sister. I'll look, let's see, the lady is actually, she's asleep elsewhere. She's not here, is she?
Yeah, no. She's
not at the current time. I think she'll probably come into the scene in a moment.
Do they always have to come into the scene? The lover?
They have to be involved or in the scene in some way. It can be like out the window like we saw earlier.
Okay, yeah.
But I think in this case it makes sense for her to be involved.
Yeah.
Fanny, my dear, I'm leaving. I'm getting all of my things together.
This moment? This day?
This very moment. I think you should come with me.
I think that's when Lady Suffolk enters.
Mm.
And she's just like, Fanny, I require you.
This upstairs?
Yes. And she turns around.
My lady, I think my sister and I should take our leave of the house.
What? Whatever for? I've heard about your little trifling conflict with Charles. Here, I'll give a little word to him. He won't remember it by tomorrow.
I'll look over at Fanny.
Yeah. Ma'am, I think it is time that we take our leave. We've ingratiated ourselves in your estate for far too long.
Fanny, do you know yourself? You don't speak like this.
Do I not?
No.
How would you have me speak?
If you come upstairs, perhaps I can tell you.
My Lady Suffolk, I think we've heard that Fanny is ready to leave. Our family will be missing us. If you don't mind.
So you want to leave? So have it. I want to hear it from your own lips, Fanny. That we're done. That you're done here with the Suffolks for good.
I will take my leave. And she very delicately puts down the embroidery, packs it away, doesn't say another word, and then nods to Anne.
So it is done. And Lady Suffolk walks out a little bit annoyed.
We curtsy as she leaves.
That was
I think
so
that's
good.
Good stuff.
Oh
Awesome.
my gosh, that was tense.
Ugh.
So now we actually end on a scene between Lady Suffolk and Fanny. And it rotates to... I think it rotates to Lauren to play Lady Suffolk in the final scene.
Yeah, I think so. So how does the final scene work? Do we have to establish whether she wants to be in it or get taken out, or?
It doesn't, that's actually not important in the final scene. It's sort of a bit, it's more about the two reconnecting after all these years. And saying the things that they didn't say to each other in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
And whether that ends happily or sadly and everyone yells at each other depends on you.
Okay. Do I set the scene for this?
Yes.
Let me check the... Abigail Suffolk is allergic to strawberries. She's had an allergic reaction and is visiting the local hospital when she runs into Fanny in the present timeline. They are like in the same ward. Something similar.
Oh, that's too perfect. And it totally isn't like the way Lady Suffolk wants her to see her, because she's very blotchy and perhaps like was like quite, her voice has gone a bit because I feel like her throat is perhaps like closed up a bit, and she looks awful. So as they bump into each other, she's like trying to put herself together a bit and is like trying to feel her cheeks to make sure they're not sort of like massive like gopher cheeks.
Fanny sort of politely smiles. Ah, did not expect to be seeing you today, my lady. And she curtsies very like half from the sort of like from the top half on the bed that she's on. You're looking not well today.
No, it's okay, you can say it. I look far from a lady today. It's rather embarrassing.
It's quite refreshing to see you embarrassed, actually.
Well, 'tis a rare moment, so perhaps one would enjoy it. For I had Lord Suffolk. I fear he tried to poison me. Or
then he would at least be quite successful. This is the closest he's probably ever gotten.
Indeed, I was a fool for not seeing the strawberries. And that, but I do digress. It is interesting seeing you again.
Have you seen Sophia lately?
No, I have not seen that child for some time.
Did you know whatever happened to her? She married a duke. Did you know?
Oh no, I did not hear. I imagine she is rather well off then.
How do you feel about that?
Of course, I feel nothing but pleased for her. And I do hope that she is well and spending that money wisely. But how have you been? Are you well? I mean,
that she looks. I've been here for a while. The doctor's still coming up with a diagnosis and so forth. But I trust I will be out sooner than later.
I know we left things on an interesting note, but 'tis fickle fate that
I just wanted
illness
to
has struck
know
you. Yeah, indeed.
whether whether you genuinely felt anything for any of us, or was it just fun? And don't be. And answer honestly, like I know you will.
It is an interesting question, for I fear memory plays tricks on us when we think back to our past endeavors. But in our present state, I enjoyed our time together. There were ups and downs, of course, but I hold a fondness for the Wilsons, and you in particular. You have a good soul.
Aww. And then Fanny's like on her lap, she brings up this pile of papers that's the manuscript that they're working on for the next part and says, well, you've come at a fortunate time in a way. How would you like to be remembered? She says. And then I don't know if that's the end of the scene, and it's like a moment where you yeah, it just ends there. I didn't even know what I wrote.
That's beautiful.
Lovely.
That was super cute.
How would any of us want to be remembered? Finn.
And that has been the fictional memoirs of Harriet Wilson and her sister. Yay. Thank you guys so much for playing.
Ah.
We'll stop the broadcast.